hello, and welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging and Friends. We are playing Ultraviolet Grasslands tonight. We're down a Bert, but we will soldier on and horrifically murder and or mutate his character at some point throughout the night, just for fun, as we did with Dan's character. I think we forgot to tell Dan, but yeah, this is this is like session 2. We did a character creation. Session 0, we kind of started up last week, did some mulling about in the Violet City, and we got on the road, and now we continue our road trip as we journey westward into the steppe, the Ultraviolet Grasslands, where psychedelia and ghost dysentery will eventually get everybody, I think. But before we get too far into the summary, hey, there's a Bert. But before we get too far into the summary, we'll go ahead and just do introductions. Say who you are, say who you're playing, something we need to know about your character, and if you got something to plug, go right ahead. So, Joe, you're up first.
All right. I'm Joe, the Defenders of Kobold, and I'm playing Ensen, the Safranian. Is that how you say that right? Safranian Musclemancer. Strong man that casts spells with his muscles. And I run a BFRPG game over on the Defenders of Kobold on alternating Fridays from the games that Chuck runs.
Wait a second. Told Twitch doesn't like high def Jeff. Wow. So did you come up with a spell? I know we just talked about it a little bit beforehand. Did you have an idea?
Yeah. I think it's going to be pictorial projection. And it's where he's able to launch objects with his pecs.
Okay, it's like a telekinesis, but with your pecs. I like it. That sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. Okay. All right, let's keep it going. We got Melissa. Who are you?
Melissa with Adventures in Lollygagging. You can catch us here on Mondays, either playing EVG or Alien. On Fridays, we're generally doing Delta Green. We're in between chapters right now. And on Saturdays, you can also catch us. We are kind of in between games at the moment with that. We're going to maybe do a one-shot this week. In this game, I play a satraps named Lamb. And I have a little pickpocket monkey lizard named Phil.
Nice. Very cool. You're 100% wrong, however, about Saturday. Saturday, we play Blaze of the Dark.
That's right.
Our Blaze of the Dark game.
Right.
The Gutter Witches. We're playing weird witchy people who do witch stuff and sell drugs to people.
Friday is possibly going to be our one shot this week.
I don't know what the hell we're doing on Friday. We'll figure it out. Yeah. I'm probably going to be prepping for Blaze of the Dark on Friday. It's probably it's going to have to be this week.
Yes, nailed in chat. Like, yes, talking theories about what's going on. For sure.
Gosh, that could go on forever.
Forward to the end.
Man, we stay on Zoom sometimes for like 45 minutes afterwards, and we should record those one of these days. Okay, let's go bottom row. We got Chuck. Chuck, who are you?
Oh, that's me. I'm Chuck. Hi. I'm playing Tango Carne. I'm a ghost. I have a purple or a lavender plant that won't die that I live in, and I can take over people. I can pilot their meat suits. And it's wonderful. I'm an Ultron or whatever they are.
Ultra.
I'm an Ultra. I'm not. Yeah.
You're not Ultron?
I'm not Ultron. Who would have thunk?
It's not your age? What?
It's not my age.
You're not the second Avengers movie?
I'm not. There's definitely strings on me, so I can't be Ultron. Anyway, yeah. I don't remember what all you wanted from that. Tango Carne, that's me. Defenders of Kobold. Wednesday, Pathfinder. Yeah.
Perfect. I like how there's so we've got a meat man and a meat suit. When Melissa and I were hammering out the caravan details this weekend, we're like, okay, so we have to account for Chuck's meat suit and Jeremy's meat man. I'm sensing a theme, so that's pretty great. So so speaking of Jeremy, hey man, what's up?
Hello, I am an adopted delinquent and wannabe gagger, and I'm going to be playing Mercutio Salvador Giovanni, MSG for his friends. I'm a cat lord and a bit of a game hunter and a chemist and just an all-around good chap.
Excellent, excellent. I got my Black Blizzard comic, by the way. Aaron sent
excellent.
out. Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but it looks
Same.
awesome. Looks really cool.
I
Even
sat
cited
down
and everything.
and read it immediately.
No spoilers.
All the spoilers.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
And yeah, I do have my loyal and faithful butler Man Meat.
Yep. That's right. He does. He does. What does he look like? Is he an attractive young fellow?
No. Sorry. No, I'd say he's like very leathery skin. He's got like the seafoam green like vest that's 2 sizes too small. No shirt. Similarly colored banana hammock. Piercings everywhere. Purple hair going off in various directions. Dilated eyes because all of the different drugs that I make, I test on him.
That's brilliant. Do you have to replace Man Meat from time to time? Do you think that's happened? Is this like Man Meat 2 or Man Meat 3?
I mean, all humans look the same when you get down to it.
That's fair. That's true. That is true. That is true. Okay. And then finally, triumphant return. Dan, how's it going, man?
Hey everybody, Dan with the Defenders. I'm playing Sat Rap 418 Teapot, and I have like some sort of laser-eyed land squid, which I will have to figure out what it do and how fun it's going to be to ruin things with it. And I think all of the meat things will make sense when we get to the Hot Pocket, and we have to, fill it.
Okay. Oh, God. Okay. All right. Oh dear. All right then. Let's dive into the summary and get going. Melissa, you are from now on in charge of the caravan. You made a nice little spreadsheet for us. I hope to never pay attention to it again. So you can do all that accounting. So you all are prophets of some kind, visionaries who have received a vision from the True Mother. The Sky Mother sometimes is referred to as a shared vision, a dream that all of you had been having for some time leading up to the start of our game. And it involved, hang on, let me see if I can get these details correct here, just because it was so very colorful. There was a dude with an individual scar across his forehead with a milky eye. There was a coffee bean shortage that was potentially heralding the apocalypse. That was on a newspaper somewhere. There was a woman in peak physical form up in the purple haze that was pointing westward, shooting comets and fast stars, reflecting light like hunter's arrows. And there was like a slowed down radio playing possibly Blue Oyster Cult. We'll assume that's just, that's canon, that Blue Oyster Cult exists within this world. And so all of you have had that shared dream. And then while you were in the Violet City, when you were just minding your own business in the marketplace, all of a sudden these dudes in green and black frocks showed up. And on these little tiny Vita crystals around their necks, they showed this image to everybody, and they were trying to see who recognized it. And since you all did, you clearly were part of whatever cult that they are part of. And you got recruited by Circle Angelo and a horned rat master to head out west. They funded your caravan, and your job is to kind of go track down whatever the True Mother was pointing to, because it's your job to ascend to space like the sky shamans of old. And so that's what you guys are going to do. You recruited some folks. You got some sort of undead hunter by the name of Vigo Brastic. You got a couple other little side quests. There's some medical supplies that Bert, as Khalil, was able to round up. Needs to be delivered to Orangeware Mark II Duo, a polybody at the Porcelain Citadel. There's also a missing cult member. We don't really have a name yet for the cult, but a cult member called Greenware Pentad 5 Body, who's an adherent to the True Mother, who has apparently stopped communicating for some reason, also somewhere around the Porcelain Citadel. And they were like kind of a harbinger going out in the front of the prophets like yourselves that were leading these caravans west. You left the city. You stopped by the Last Chair Salon, where Khalil managed to cut a worm out of a teenager, where you all got some yellow beer. You also bought some vampire wines, and then you decided to hike up into the heavy rough trails of the steps of the Lime nomads. While you were traveling, you got hit with like a cinnabar ash storm. I think it was Ensen's whose eyes kind of got all messed up from that. Somebody did. And then you managed to, fortunately, come across the Limey Matriarch's Traveling Village, which is a group of, I don't know, a couple dozen people who with some crazy wagons and animals that are grazing, corrals and such. But as you were kind of introducing yourselves to them to try to gain access to this village for trade, it became quickly apparent that they do not like ultras, as all of you were asked to get in a single file line, and they were putting some kind of like almost like a temperature scanner to your foreheads or something like that to try to determine if there were any ultras or Vom activity in any of the people that were about to enter into the village. And so that's exactly where we're going to start up. We're in a single file line. All of you, your hero, all the heroes that you all your helpers, your henchmen, you're all patiently getting scanned by these limey guards who are moving up. And I don't know, Chuck, would you have revealed to the people in the caravan your true nature as an ultra, or would you be keeping it secret from the rest of everybody else? An ultra is basically like a ghost.
I would think at this point the only person that might know would be MSG, because MSG, when we first met, we greeted like we already knew each other. And being, the real weirdos in the party, maybe there's that bond there. So maybe MSG knows. I don't necessarily think I might have revealed it to everyone.
Okay. So
you've got a meat suit, I've got man meat. We've got, shared interests.
Yeah.
All right. So let's say the two of you then are in the back of the line with this knowledge in hand. The rest of your caravan, which is, I think there's a total of 12 people or 12 mouths essentially that have to be accounted for, are in line, and the two of you are the final two. And one by one, everybody is getting scanned. And you all know that at some point that scanner is going to hit Tango Carne. You're looking around, you can see there's a really big wagon with some grandiose like balloon over top of it. You can see that there's this corral of animals where there's plenty of like limey nomads that seem to be watching them as they graze and feed. There's like this small little area where all the other smaller wagons are actually congregated around. You're kind of right outside of that, and they're kind of leading you in almost like a little trading area. And looking around, there's a couple dozen people. There's a few that are like in really close proximity, and then there's others that are away, and they all are, they're all decked out in some gear here and there. So the question then is, what do the two of you do with this knowledge?
I have an idea. And besides, I feel like being Cade anyway, so I'll kind of morph my body back down into a more traditional cat form and kind of have man meat be holding me up. And I'm just going to be like perched doing the thing like where the cat kind of shows its belly, just waiting to be petted as we get closer to whoever does the scan.
Okay.
I'm going to do everything in my power to try and get whoever it is to like kind of rub my belly while they scan man meat. Because I want to use
a distraction, or
no, because I have, as a cat lord, the enthrall human spell.
Ooh.
And if I can get them to pet me, I can attempt to make them my pet.
Nice.
Okay. All right. So one by one, everybody in your party ahead of you gets through just fine. Okay, Ensen, maybe you lead the way. They put this little temperature gauge, they press it right against your forehead. It's kind of cold to the touch, little gel-like like receptacle at the end, or just kind of protruding out.
Flex my forehead muscles with it.
And one of the limey nomads that's doing the scan is like, okay, there's no reason you've got to be all, like that. Okay, we don't have many of these things, and we don't need you breaking it with your forehead muscles, big man.
Sorry.
Have some respect. If you break this, Matriarch Rona is gonna break you, or she's gonna make us break you. So definitely don't go doing that. Now, off with you. Go inside. be friendly, all those types of things. And so they wave you through no problem. The two satraps come up, and they, like, some of you have, I know, Melissa, you've got, like, the hat on, like a deep sea diver, right? Do you have something similar, Dan? Does Teapot have, like, some kind of hat or helmet on or anything like
I
that?
assume I'm probably, space suiting it up a little bit.
Okay. So they like kind of pause for a moment if they're trying, like, and this is giving probably MSG and Tango Carney time to maybe devise a plan. But they're trying to figure out, okay, now how do we just, can we just insert, like, is there a face plate we could move, please?
Just point at my forehead. Just.
But that's a helmet. We need the skin. Do you have skin?
It's all of this is skin. It is skin.
That's your skin?
It is skin. Yes.
Oh, okay. And so they go ahead and they press it, and they like scan and and like, oh, that's some peculiar writings here. And they kind of hold it away from them. They show it to each other like that. Do you see this? All right, I think you're okay. Your PT levels are just a bit spiked, but they could just be, because of who you are. You two can go in.
I think I'm okay too. Thanks.
I can assure
Okay.
you, no Vom, no Ultra.
Okay, taking your assurance. That's fine. In you go. No, no funny business.
You mind if I ask? What the ultras did wrong here? Or the
What the Ultras did wrong. They, well, how much time you got, pal? They possess people, they make them go crazy, they take over their bodies, and then, like, 3 years later, let them go, and you're, like, at the complete other side of the world, and who knows what you did in the meantime. They get into your brain, and they eat away at all your little wrinkles of stuff,
They
really
give you
big.
the smooth brain.
They give the smooth brain. That's right. I think that's specifically what it's called, the smooth brain. Or the slow brain. That's even worse, but we don't want to get to that. And then those Voms, you never really know what they're going to do. Those little techno gizmo gadget thingies, they just move around, and they're just evil is what they are. They think they own the place. They just move across the grasslands like they're some sort of piece of nature, and they just, no thank you. They're very evil. Plus the matriarch just doesn't like them. Is that as well?
You don't like him, you don't like him.
But she hasn't yet put one of you folk, the satraps, on the list, so you're fine to go. So both of you,
Right.
in with
We
you.
will try to not do anything to get ourselves added to that list.
Wait, do or do not. There is no try. Don't do anything to get on that list. Very simple. Off with you.
Understood.
And then it comes to MSG, right?
We hopefully bought enough time for.
So you've been prepping, you've been planning.
Yeah, doing obviously as a cat, I've practiced doing the perfect like sprawled out, like display the belly sort of pose. And
Okay. So you're casting the spell, or are you just like doing something like prep for it?
So basically, what it is, I don't know necessarily what power levels mean. I haven't looked into the magic too much, but I have to make a charisma test in order to make this work.
Okay. So a power level of a spell is basically the equivalent of like a spell level, like to like 5e or something like that. Kind of similar in that regard. So like we all play different games, so just sort of use your judgment in terms of like how powerful you think this spell could be, right? Like, so this enthrall person might like give you a little bit of time or like a basic command or something like that. Depending on how strong you want the spell to be.
So basically what it says is I can only ever have one pet made magically in this fashion, and it'll stay loyal to me until I do something to it that would break that bond.
Okay. And Man-Meat isn't this. Man-Meat's something else?
Man-Meat's my pet. He's my pet.
Gotcha. Okay. He's not your magical. He's your manservant that you're treating as like mechanically your pet, but not like a magical.
Exactly.
thrall,
Yeah. He's
right?
my drug-addled faithful butler pet.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a good
You're
cat.
a good person. You're
I'm a
cat.
good person.
Good kitty. Okay, so go ahead and roll your charisma test.
I'm so excited.
Don't forget that, like, whenever you see tests, if you have a skill that's applicable, you can use the skill as well. You can use your skill bonus.
Don't know that I've really got a skill I could use with that. I don't think I really do.
Okay, then don't worry about it. Just roll straight charisma.
Okay.
And did it
so
say the
D20
difficulty that you needed?
It does not say a difficulty. It
Okay,
said-
we'll put it at moderate. So a moderate. So yeah, like there's sort of like little cutoff points here and there. So we'll just say, yeah, we'll say a moderate test will work. I
Okay.
think.
Well, let's hope.
Okay. 13 will do it. So describe how the spell takes hold.
I think what might be fun is like they describe this type of cat. They also have that weird venomous tail thing.
Mhm.
I imagine the spell works as a variant of that, where like as he's rubbing my belly, the tail comes up and maybe just like does a little pinprick into his wrist or something like that.
Aren't you just the sweetest little look at you? Oh, you like it when I scratch your little tum tum? Oh, nice little. Oh, what was that right there?
I would
Might be a
And just kind of like at that point, there's like the weird, like no talking. It's almost like psionically, like just staring into his eyes and just
Hello?
letting
Yeah.
him know, like just giving this sense of euphoria of how grateful he is to be around this amazing cat. And just, just enough that he really needs to like keep his attention on me as he scans my friend.
You are just the most beautiful little creature in the whole world.
And he
My
doesn't really need to
goodness.
worry about the guy behind me. I vouch for him.
Oh, well, anyone who would travel with such a beautiful little creature like yourself can't possibly be an evil vow or one of those cruel little spiritual ultras. Nothing like you. Your aura of adorableness would just be enough to just completely disintegrate any of them. So, I'll do it just for...
And then you got the two of you, so Tango and MSG, you could see that like something happens to the controller. Like it's clearly signaling like there's something else wrong, but he's just not paying attention. He's just locked into like these dreamy, beautiful eyes of MSG.
You should
Ah,
probably
yes,
scan
sir.
man meat again.
Okay. I'm gonna scan Manmate again.
And then goes
And then
holds
hopefully
it to
that'll
his
reset
forehead.
it.
And then it resets and listen. Oh,
Well, look at that. Like we said, everyone's just wonderful. Just wonderful.
And-
You're
and I
all
just-
free.
I want to give him just a sense of such soothing contentment. He's such a good boy.
I am such a good boy. The matriarch is going to be so pleased with my deeds today. I've had just a wonderful day. This is just beautiful. Just a wonderful day. Well, you sure you don't want to stay here, little kitty? Little kitty cat?
I'll plant the seed in his head that maybe he wants to come with us.
You want me to come with you? Well, I'm not sure the matriarch. Well, shit. I can walk with you around the village. at
Surely
least.
the matriarch would want such an esteemed servant as yourself to present her will along our journey.
Surely the matriarch would want such a prestige servant like myself to pretend whatever you said to the places and the things that you go to. Yes, I think I'm gonna. Hey, Charlie,
and he turns over.
could you take over for me? I'm gonna go with the kitty cat.
And Charlie comes over, just like, "What are you doing? Go with the kitty cat."
I'm just gonna go with the kitty cat. What?
I just crawl into his arms to just make it look that much more bizarre.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And he just turns around and like it's just whispering sweet nothings down to MSG. Okay, and you're in.
What a power. That's great.
And you're in. Tango Carde, you get through as well,
Yeah.
and you all find yourselves within a a small village. You can see that it's a traveling village, so like there's no specific like routes or anything like that have been laid down. You can see that there's a giant wagon with this kind of colorful green like balloon that's kind of up over top of it that you would imagine is likely the matriarch. It's the most grandiose thing here. There's a bunch of smaller wagons in similar ways, like Conestoga covering, stuff like that. There's also a bunch of animals. There's these what looks like sheep basically, but there's something about them that is different. Joe, what about these sheep is different than like sheep in our world? Like what's something that's just a little bit off about them? What do you think? You're muted, man.
Oop, there you go. I think they've got a third eye, like really prominently in their forehead.
All right. So you look over and you see it's just this beautiful herd of sheep. They're roughly the same size as the sheep that, you know, all of you see in the world and everything today. But like the only major difference is that as you're walking past and you're just hearing the constant meh, 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 you can see that in their eyes are these like very colorful third eyes that periodically just blink, and like you can see like the two, like they get cross-eyed as they start looking down and kind of going in different
I feel
directions.
like they all blink at different times.
Yeah, it's very disorienting when you stare at them. Yeah, but there's various sheep tenders that are there as you pass by, and like they give you like a little nod, and but some of them kind of stare you down, but no one really kind of gives you any fuss because they assume if you're here you've got cleared, so you're probably fine. So we can kind of like, what is it you guys feel like doing when you're around here? It just looks like a little spot for like potential trading. As you look around, like you could potentially try to do some trading. You could just talk and mingle. It's not really a destination. This is really just sort of an encounter. So like there's no major actions, but what I'll say is if anybody wants to try to like do some haggling to try to sell some wines or something else that you might have, or somebody wants to try to do some chatting up, you can spend some time with them to see if you can learn more about the area. So just sort of tell me what you want to do, and we'll see if we can like derive a specific action from it. What would you all want to do about here?
We were coming out this direction because weren't we looking to hunt something?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Maybe
Alien megapede.
spend some time asking people about that, see if there's any leads we can follow.
Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Okay. So I'll say the two of you, you're on that duty. What about the other three? What else would you want to do? There's people playing games. There's people talking. There's some people that are drinking. There's some people that are trading, stuff like that. So you're welcome to do whatever you like.
I think I'd be into trading because that's like my character's background as a merchant.
Okay.
So he'd see who's interested in his health supplements and all his proteins and stuff.
Okay. All right. The satraps.
I mean, I might be see if there's any information about that the vial that I'm hunting.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm not sure that it'd come to a place like this necessarily, but
Yeah, this is more like a traveling. Yeah, it's like a traveling village. So like they're nomads. Like the Step of the Lime nomads. Everyone's moving all around all the time. So you just happen to stumble across a fairly prominent like traveling village. So think of it like, you know, almost like I'm thinking in my head almost like carnies that are moving around, and they're like,
okay.
you know, they have like various like temporary structures that they erect at different times of the year at different places. And then Melissa, what are you looking to do?
I want to take a look at some of the games.
Okay.
That are
Alright.
going on.
Okay, so we'll go through these. We'll go through these one at a time. So why don't we'll start with the stat traps. So both of you go ahead and roll charisma tests for me. And again, whenever I ask for a test, you're welcome to add a skill if you think it would apply. So, you know, in the case of like Melissa, you're kind of carousing, schmoozing. So if you have any skill that might like for just pure socialization, Whereas like Teapot, like you're kind of doing some investigation. So if you have some sort of skill that's maybe related to investigation, you can add your bonus to that. So it's very fluid, very free if it works.
I do not.
Okay.
In fact,
So then
some
just
of my
roll.
skills I should keep to myself. Like nomad rating. These people. Oops.
Go ahead and roll charisma. Then just go ahead and roll base charisma, and if you have a charisma bonus, you can add that too. And basically, the higher the better here is what we're looking for.
I sure got. It's just a D6.
It's a D20 plus your
D20.
charisma. Yeah.
Okay.
Same for you, Melissa.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm not sure. No, mine's the 12.
I had the
Okay.
+2, so mine's 21.
Okay. So Teapot, you you go moving about, and you're trying to kind of get an idea of whether or not there's a specific there's a specific like vial that you're looking for, some kind of like ancient kind of creature is sort of what the vials are like, almost like ancient elves and stuff like that. You come across a group of they basically call themselves like limey ghost hunters, and you can see that there's just sort of a group of them that they have the same looks as many of these other nomads, but you can see that they're carrying a whole mess load of like various biotech and things on them, little devices here and there that they're kind of got their contraptions on, almost like their Ghostbuster packs and stuff like that. And they seem like the most likely like bounty hunter type people that you've come across. And when you describe this idea of a vial, when you talk specifically about whatever they're hunting, they don't seem to recognize the specifics of who you're looking for, but they do mention that like you're in good territory if somebody wants to hide. And like one of them starts giving you a story about how, like vials are just as bad as the Vones, or just as bad as the, as the ultras. And they talk about how like, they kind of give you their sob story about how like they had their minds like brutally erased at some point. They have these huge gaps in their history, and they just say they just warn you that as you're wandering about in the steppe, especially the closer you get to the Blue Ridge Mountains to the north, be wary of where you go and be wary of who you trust and who you talk to, because there's a lot of little hiding spots out here, and there's these different groups of folks that they just take you in, and they wipe you completely as if you forget everything. And they reference like vague tastes, like memories of like sweetmeats and like alcohol and stuff like that. And like they get this burning behind their eyes whenever they start thinking about it too hard. And then, something happened to them up here. So it's a good place to hide, and there's plenty of evils, but they don't know your specific target.
Well, that's some good information to go off of, at least.
And then with Satrap Lamb with a 21, there are two types of games that seem to be the focus around here. There's some kind of shoe toss that they do, and it's not like horseshoes. It's like literally people take their shoes off and they throw them at what look like crates on either side, and they just do some shoe tossing, and there's some gammon that can potentially be done. There's also apparently a sheep relay contest where like there's different groups and teams that like just put the sheep on their shoulders and they just run them like around the outskirts of the traveling village, and they like pass it over onto people like it's a relay baton. You're invited because of your very high score onto one of the teams. Do you want to? So would you say Satrap Lamb would be more inclined to do the sheep relay, strangely enough, or would they do shoe toss gambling?
She would definitely not ever remove her shoes in a public space. So
Sure.
Definitely the lamb carrying a lamb.
Okay. All right. And with a 21,
I actually have a ability called Expert Mimicry.
okay.
So what I actually want to do is I want to watch other people doing this and kind of see like weight distribution and, kind of, head facing which direction and some of those things to be able to like see who's doing well with this and kind of get
Okay.
a little bit of a leg up.
So you get on a good team, like because the people see you studying and they hear like you're asking the right questions and things like that. So you actually get on a team that just so happens to need a third, and they kind of poke and prod and they ask questions like about you, and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. We're moving sheep. You're a lamb. You're a downright natural for this. This is gonna be wonderful." So go ahead and roll, and I'll give you advantage on this because of your great roll. Roll a physical test of some kind. It could be agility, it could be strength, it could be con. I don't care, whichever you prefer. Go ahead and take your skill bonus for your mimicry as well, and you can roll with advantage.
Okay, so I don't have anything physical, so it's just going to be the d20 plus 1.
Okay. Your skill, whatever you
My
have in skill
ability.
mimicry. Well, I think it's 2 at level. Yeah, you guys are level 1, so your bonus is plus 2.
Oh, that's right. So that should be a plus 3 then. So then that would be a 15.
It should be a plus 2, I think, right?
And then plus 1 for my ability.
Oh, okay. Well, no, your ability is plus 2. The bonus for your ability is plus 2.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it's a 14. Got it.
Okay. All right. Still pretty good. You're gonna go ahead and roll a d6. Roll
6.
another d6. This is exploding.
4.
Okay. You make somewhere in the neighborhood of about 100 cash on this. So go ahead and as your share of like the
Sweet.
bet, yeah, you get 100 cash just from your time on this little group, and you've met 2 friends, 2 limey nomads who will forever know you. What are their names? And I'll come back to you for that because I know how long this is going to take you. But you have two limey nomad friends that at your sheep relay team, and we'll
Help me
come
out,
back to you
chat.
later.
Set some
Okay.
names.
So we'll move down then to Chuck and Jeremy, who you guys were asking specifically. You're kind of doing some investigation or schmoozing. Both of you go ahead and roll a charisma test, and then again, if you have a skill that you think would apply here, like your big game hunting, I think makes sense to apply here. Tango, if there's something that you think that would fit in terms of like asking about like hunting grounds or just schmoozing with people.
Yeah. I've got my smooth operator skill. So
Oh yeah, totally.
how does that work? What do you add for that?
So that's what we were doing with Melissa. So in the upper right, you can
Okay.
see that there's a bonus that you all get.
Right,
It's like
so
your
it'd be
proficiency,
+1.
basically.
Yeah. Okay.
We're level 1, so you get +2.
Cool. Oh yeah. All right.
Let's give that a go.
And don't forget that you also have heroics. You get 1 at the start of the game, and that's a D6 that you can. So it's either like a heroic could be spent to roll a D6 and add it to your total, or it could be spent to give you advantage as well. So those are 2 things you could potentially use.
I got an 8.
Okay. Do you want to burn a heroic to roll that again?
Yeah, I'll go ahead
Okay.
and do that.
And then Jeremy, is that 12 yours?
Yeah, I actually had
There we
a
go.
banked heroic that somebody purchased for me last one. I'll do, and I'll roll an extra. I'll add a d6 on top of it.
Okay.
Because why not?
Okay.
So go from a 12 to a 17. Double 17.
Double 17.
Oh,
So you
yes.
guys, you're going to get a lot of stuff here. So, MSG, you run across a hunter of some kind, a limey nomad, scars galore, missing an eye, missing like 7 of their 10 fingers. You can see that like their teeth aren't quite straight, and some of them are missing. Like the folds of their skin are underneath, and like when you talk to them, you also notice that they have what looks like a peg leg as they're wandering and limping around. Like, Megapade, aye? Sure. I know a place. It's down there. Yeah, it's down a little further west and north a bit.
there's this beautiful, beautiful sea. Only it's not a sea. You see, it's not a sea. It just looks like a sea, and it's just it's a place with this monstrous alien creature just swims around like it's one of them sharks from the Circle Sea to the east, and it's about northwest a few days of the step of the baobab tree up a ways. Now you gotta be careful because you're gonna go there and you're gonna look over this big old maw, this crater like right in the earth, and you're gonna think, hey, it's water. It's not water. That's the trick. It's just this moss of some kind. It's a strange little bit of vegetation. It is. It plays tricks on the eyes. Makes it look like it's water, just cascading all left and right and north and south and such. But it's really just moss. There's something at the center of that little sea that little, well, not little, that big old alien megapede is hunting around. Yeah, I've been there once myself. That's where I lost my leg.
And he looks down and he like rolls up his leg, and you can see that there's like a mechanical leg.
The other leg I lost somewhere else, but that's the one right. No, actually, wait a second. It might have been this one. Yeah, it was the peg leg I lost to this one. I lost that to something else.
And did you lose it to the megapede, or was it due to the moss?
Oh, I lost it to the. I lost it because I fell. I fell down a ledge. I thought I was diving into water, and I wasn't. I was diving into a deep crater, and the moss like was gentle like, and it made a bit of a cushion, but not enough. And you know, I crawled on out. It's fine. Me mates grabbed me. Luckily, I heard the ticking. Oh my god, I did that really fast. If you hear the ticking, you know that the megapede's nearby.
Good to know, man.
Delightful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you like that kind of hunting, those types of creatures, you might want to go down the trail of Valmish Drains. You ever been there before?
No, tell me more.
Oh, God. Good hunting. Good hunting for days. Dangerous. And it smells god-awful. Worse than them sheep over there. But if you like unnatural base, you like those biomechanical monstrosities, all sorts of invasive alien species from who knows where, that's the place to go. Just filled with them. Just a terrible place. Unless you like it, then it's not terrible.
Gosh, it sounds delightful to me.
That's exciting, man.
But just be careful. That's all. You don't want to be losing this or that, you know? I'm running out of digits, running out of legs. I'm down to... Oh, shit, I'm out of legs. That's a shame.
It's too bad, man.
It happens.
But this little thing, and he like kind of uses the peg leg to snack against like the like weird biomechanical leg he has.
This thing's a beaut, though, I'll tell you. It's a beaut. They do crazy things at the Citadel, I'll tell you.
It's amazing. What is my new friend's name?
This is my name, Cozy.
His name's Cozy. Who was the guy from the line earlier?
Well, you tell me.
What's his name? Yeah.
Bless it.
It's always fun just turning it around.
No, that's fine.
Suggestions in
him,
chat.
Crackers. Okay.
Crackers. Okay.
Crackers, shake this man's hand and give him a pat on the back for just how wonderful he is.
Hi, Cozy. Hi, Crackers.
They're just gonna talk to one another, and then Jeff just RPs for 10 minutes speaking like a New Zealander. But yeah, okay. And you rolled a 17 as well, I think, Tango Carney.
Yeah.
Okay. At a certain point, as you guys are getting ready to leave, this kind of heavy set dude comes wandering over to you. Kind of really like long, bushy hair, kind of dyed green, or maybe it's just naturally green, who knows. And just sort of sidles up next to you and just leans over like, I'll know what you are, you know. I'll know. But it's all right. It's okay. Not gonna tell no one.
Well, that's good that you're not going to tell anyone, but what do you think you know that you may or may not know that I know, but you don't know that you may or may not know?
Well said. That's well said. And he kind of looks around a bit, and then he just goes, like he's blowing a little snot bubble, and you see like this little mist just start to leave his nose, and then sniffs it right back up, and it disappears.
Well, I'll same thing. It's our little ghost handshake.
Yeah, and he's got these like these glasses on, and he's just like, these things are all here, Let me say everything I need to say, and I saw you something fierce.
That's fantastic. How'd you get past the the beep boop getting in this joint, the scanner?
I gave him money.
Oh, that's way easier. I was gonna pilot them for a little bit to get me through.
Yeah, you can do that, but you gotta be careful, because if the matriarch finds out about it, she's gonna be all mad. She's gonna be bad.
That's fair, man.
Yeah.
What are you doing here, man? Like, I'm looking for a Cadillac.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but no, I'm looking for a place. I said it's around here somewhere. It's a city, or up in the mountains where Steplander and Ultra live in peace and harmony. You know, no more hunting. It's a place to settle. I can leave this meat suit if I feel like it, and I could climb into any meat suit I want. A place where I can move around and not be afraid of who we are. You ever heard of a place like that?
Never heard of a place like that, man. I'm tired of having to hide in a meat suit. I got my plant back at the wagon, but it argues too much.
You argue with your plant.
Yeah, it's opinionated.
What do you argue about?
You know, weather, economics, political stuff,
Oh, no, I don't want to get
recipes.
into the politics. Oh, God.
Yeah,
no.
I don't want to get into it either, man, but
You know, the worst thing about recipes is when you're reading through one and someone has to put some ridiculously long life story right before you get to
man.
the damn. I
Just
just draws
give me
me
straight to
insane.
the recipe, man. I don't
Thank
want to
you,
have to
okay.
scroll through in like,
Your
you
plant
know,
thinks otherwise. Your plant thinks it likes reading.
he likes
those
to
things.
read all that crap. Like, it's like, I got to know the story to get, the ambiance right, the right mindset for cooking it. I'm like, no, you just cook it.
Well, to
Make
be
your
fair,
own story.
it's not like the plant actually eats the food, is it?
No, it doesn't. It's just, like I said, just opinionated.
Okay. Well, anyhow,
So what's
You
the name
ever
of this joint?
I don't know. It's just a city in the mountain. I know it's somewhere north of Blue Ridges to the north. Yeah, dangerous places up there. Here, if you come across it though, you come find me. I'm wandering about here. You might
Yeah,
find
man.
me here, there. But I'd like to go there one day. Maybe you and I can share a meat suit together or something.
That sounds weird, but I'll give it a go.
Wait,
It could be fun.
Why
Roommates.
are you kink shaming? I thought you were better than that, but
Just never done it before, man. It's new.
okay. Well, just be careful around here. No, don't let them get a hold of you.
Yeah, that would be not good.
Kind of leans in, does a bro hug, and a little snot, like as the mist comes out, and he's like, just ask around for Shabawaffa, and
Shabawaffa? Okay.
probably point you to me at some point in these parts.
Okay.
Sometimes I go up to the Citadel as well.
Okay, cool, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Peace out. Anyways.
Later.
And then finally, Joe, you wanted to do some trading, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what are you trying to sell? Are you trying to sell like specifically like the wines, or do you have other things on you that you're trying to?
So I travel with. I didn't know if there was like a particular mechanic for people that were merchants already. Like, I don't know, because my backstory was that I was a merchant. I was whenever when we rolled up,
Mhm.
and I pictured my character selling like protein type things, stuff to bulk up and maintain his form.
Okay.
And it's kind of an excuse for him to carry it with him all the time too.
So, how about this? Roll, roll. Let's say a d20.
Okay.
And we'll say that's how much of your product you have. You have
4.
Yeah, you have basically like 4 sacks worth of product that you could potentially sell.
Okay.
All right. Now, we'll say you can go ahead if you're just looking to straight up sell. We'll just do like kind of we'll hack the buy and sell stuff. So if you want to haggle, I'm just like looking at the rules here. So like there's so in game, like the idea is like you take your product to different places and then you can potentially sell it there above market value, or if you do really poorly with your haggling, below market value. So you can kind of choose if you want to like do you have any money on you?
Have whatever the starting amount is,
100.
Okay.
if there was one.
So you can
I didn't
spend
really spend it on.
so the way the buy and sell action works is that you can spend an hour and 1d6 worth of cash to make a relevant test to haggle, or you can spend like you can spend 1 day and 1d6 times 10 cash, or 1 week and 1d6 times 100 cash, and like depending on how long you spend, the chances of you having like a better deal kind of increase essentially. So it's just a kind of a question of how much money do you want to spend and how much time do you want to dedicate to your selling process.
Let's spend 50. And how long are we here? I'd probably spend about.
We're not doing like a full destination. We're just treating this like an encounter. So we're treating it maybe like a day. We're not doing like a full on like destination thing. So,
okay.
So if you want, you can roll a d6 and good.
About 4 hours ish.
Okay. Okay. Roll a d6.
Okay. 5.
Okay. So basically, this amounts to like you just sort of talking and schmoozing with some of the other merchants, buying them, like giving them some tea or maybe sharing some yellow beer or whatever might be around, and just trying to sort of haggle a bit. So then roll a relevant test, like a d20 plus some sort of skill for like sales, charisma, that kind of thing.
I just have 2 charisma.
Okay, so go roll d20, add 2, and we'll see what you roll. Okay.
8.
It turns out that they don't really need your product too much. You're looking around, and everyone here is a fairly, it feels like they're fairly strong, rugged individuals, and they don't really need help with their strength. But if you're really, really desperate, they'll basically buy it at half price, like half what you want, half what you would normally sell it for. So if you're desperate to sell it, you could probably get some cash from them, but it's not a particularly good deal.
Yeah, I'll probably hold off then.
Okay. All right. So we'll just say that then. So we'll say you guys spend basically a day with them, with this traveling merchant or traveling village. You kind of schmooze, play games, do various things. And at a certain point, maybe you even spend the night nearby or whatever it might be, in close proximity. But then eventually you guys go in different ways, and you kind of get back on your journey towards on the steppe, because you're only halfway through a 2-week journey. And whereas they kind of go off in a different direction to find new grazing grounds. And so we're going to get back to traveling. So in pardon me for being kind of mechanical about this. I'm just still trying to wrap my heads around some stuff. So you guys get back on the road. Remember that the sky is sort of like filled like with like ash, like different degrees of like heavy ash storms. Like this, it smells like, kind of smells like cinnamon to a degree. Sometimes it gets in your eyes and it burns. You all gotten good about like wrapping something around your foreheads and your cheeks and things to keep that shielded as best you can. Or if you have goggles or mask, that certainly helps as well. Let's see. I need Jeremy. Go ahead and roll a charisma test, as we're going to do our misfortune roll to see how the next week's travel fares for you.
Okay.
And again, if you have any sort of skill that might be relevant to like trailblazing or that kind of thing.
I mean, I do have foraging to maybe help us grab some food along the way. I don't think we're really
foraging is like a completely different action.
Yeah,
that
okay.
Implies,
I don't really think so.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, just roll it. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Gonna be great.
Oh no, you rolled a 13. Oh god. Not a 13.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
You know what? That's okay.
That's great.
good.
Everything's going to be fine. Everything's great. Oh no, you rolled a 13.
Have you all met Crackers? Crackers are just delightful.
I want to say you brought Crackers with you, by the way, and it didn't go well. Like, his family was yelling at him and stuff. You're like, why are you leaving? Like, oh, the cat is just so adorable. As like, there's people yelling. I'm like, you've got children. What's wrong with you? You can't leave your children. But the kitty is just so delightful. And I don't really like the children.
Yeah, they should have been as adorable as the cat, and it wouldn't have been a problem.
I mean, you can bring your children if you want. I'm sure they'd be fantastic labor.
Okay. Do you want to... No, I don't really like them.
They should probably stay home. Let them enjoy the comforts, and you'll come back the conqueror, the hero, the journeyman.
With a beautiful kitty cat, and plus they're a burden anyway. I didn't even really want them, to be honest.
I understand. You wanted me. You just didn't know it until you found me.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That was a very awkward scene.
Oh no, I feel really bad.
Thank you for those bits, Cap. That's 3 heroics in the pool, Melissa, if you want to keep track of that. So that's how we're treating them for UVG. Okay, so it's actually not that bad. Your travel for the next week is certainly it's not horribly eventful, but at the same time, it's just like plagued with just constant ash storms to the point where it's just like day in, day out, you're just, everything you guys own is just covered in this like red brown ash. Like, you kind of understand to some degree like why it's like used so prevalently, but it's just everywhere to the point where you might even kind of get sick of it. But otherwise, it's a largely, nothing too terrible. But as you're kind of beginning to approach sort of a rise, and you're sort of coming kind of down this ridge, you do notice something up ahead, MSG, and eventually everyone else. You will also notice this as you see that the trail ahead that you've been on for some time in this kind of rocky terrain, or I should say not rocky, this dry terrain, is blocked, and it's covered by what just looks like hundreds and hundreds of small creatures that you can see that are just completely blocking the road for not necessarily as far as the eye can see to like the north and south, the other sides of the road, but like for a significant chunk. And you look at the quality of what the terrain is off this trail versus on this trail, and you know that taking your wagons off the trail might not be the greatest thing, but you just see that there's just hundreds of some kind of creature up ahead as you look down, and they all just seem to be blocking the road.
Not moving at all, or
they're doing stuff. Looks like you're not sure exactly what they're doing. They're not like migrating back and forth. From what you can tell, Teapot, you think that like some of them are burrowing here and there, and you also see them sometimes come up out of the ground and like out of the sides of like different rock groupings off the side of the trail with like almost what looks like mushrooms like in their mouths or in their claws. You see what looks like these fairly large armadilloids.
Crackers, you're from around here. Do you know what these are?
Oh, those? They're armadilloids. They're mostly harmless. They're not really gonna bother you at all. They're usually kind of leave you be. Never seen so many at once. This is quite a herd of them, to be honest. But you got to be real careful around them because they're little burrowers and they get these little holes. They'll break your ankles, break your axles. Got to be real careful around them. And this many, oh God, who knows just how many little tiny holes and tunnels there are beneath the trail. We could walk down there and it could be a sinkhole that takes us God knows where.
It's terrifying.
And Lamb will ask, are not being used to different areas, is this a creature that others find edible if the need arises?
I mean, I guess you could eat them, but I mean, they're not particularly tasty. If you're desperate, maybe. But there's so many layers of whatever kind of armor they got on them that by the time you get underneath it all, it's like kind of foul tasting. But you know, to each their own. Good kitty.
Well, I mean, we need to check it out before we go try and drive our wagons over it.
Go real nice and slow.
Okay.
So you said they're like coming up and they have like these mushroom things. It seems like they're trying to harvest mushrooms.
Yeah, it looks like they're just digging stuff up from beneath the earth or like from the side of like a big old rock edifice on the side of the trail. Things like they're just like burrowing through everything, and they're everywhere. Like there's literally hundreds of them, and they're the size of like a dog maybe at most, like not that big.
Do they look like they would be able to like hurt me pretty bad if I were to like aggravate them?
I mean, like they're one on their own probably wouldn't be much, but if they swarmed you at some point, it's possible. But Crackers did say that they were fairly friendly. It's midday. That you can see that the haze is kind of occluded somewhat, or has retreated somewhat, so you can actually see a bit of the sun coming down.
Lamb will look at Teapot and just say, "Do you want to take a look at what they're looking at? See what's over
I
there?"
wanted to try to run through and like steal the food that they're like digging up and try and run away with it and get them to chase me.
Okay. All right. There's literally hundreds of them, though. I don't want so the chances of like all 100 of them following you is probably remote, but like a good chunk of them could potentially do it.
Yeah, I just want to like enough to get like a path in the middle.
Okay. Sounds like an agility test
on the sides. Okay.
It sounds like an agility test. Roll agility test, and if you got anything that might be suited, go for it. They're like a 30 to 40. They're like a 30-pound dog, Captain.
I'm just gonna roll it. And do we get a hero point at the start of every session?
Sort of every session, and then at the midway point as well. So we just hit 8 o'clock.
And we've got 3 extra heroics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they're definitely a resource you burn a lot. You don't have to hold on to them too much.
I just rolled nat 20.
Okay, a nat 20. So describe how Ensen goes just like pushing, like parting the Red Sea here, and then somehow
picture him
Yeah.
like wading through them almost to like liquid, and he's just grabbing them out of their mouths and their hands, and he's like building this pile on his shoulders, like trying to make this large attraction for them, and
Okay.
he's gonna walk away leading them.
So, I mean, it's a nat 20. So, much like the Pied Piper of old, you see Ensen like just dart through, pick up a bunch of mushrooms, and you can see like half of this huge herd just begins following him off into the distance off the trail. There's still some that are around here and there, but like he's cleared most of the way. You could conceivably be just sort of like push through here with the wagons and not really concern yourselves anymore with the armadilloids. You're not necessarily, the rest of you are not necessarily sure, however, like what the condition of the road might be, but certainly there's not enough anymore on the road to cause a problem. And Ensign, roll a d6.
Okay.
Maybe we go do some road inspection.
1.
You get about, you're gonna get, I'm gonna say like 10. You're gonna get basically a sack's worth. Like you can add a sack to your inventory of these mushrooms, these edible mushrooms.
Okay.
So.
Sweet.
Okay. And they follow you for a distance. You manage to outrun them. They're more agile than you, but you can, like in a straight line, you clearly outrun them. And you're also lucky that every now and then you can feel your foot begin to give underneath. It looks like a hole in the patch in the ground, but you manage to avoid falling or tripping.
Okay.
What are the
my
rest
goal
of
is
you
to
two?
like get him pretty far away, and then I'll just dump most of the mushrooms that I have.
Okay.
So they start.
So you dump a
eating them
bunch,
there.
but you keep enough for yourself, and then you just start retreating back while they all kind of scurry around and feasting on it. What are the rest of you doing now that there's an opening?
I think I might try and go look at the condition of the road. You know, walk up on it nice and slow, like I don't want to break my ankles.
Sure. Okay. Why don't you roll like a thought test, like as you examine it for the best route forward. If you have anything, if you have a skill that you think applies to like this action that you're taking, just go ahead and add it.
Of course not.
It's okay. I think that by default, it's not going to happen too often early.
Yeah.
Okay.
Contortions somehow help when I fall in a hole.
I mean, you could, conceivably it could, but with an 18, like that's still really good. A couple, once or twice, like your foot gives, but you're able to kind of navigate a decent path. Like maybe you're using your arm, or if you have like a walking stick or something to just sort of check the road, and you're basically like the person who's leading the rest of them through a minefield, and you just like take a couple steps and you wave at the caravan, take a couple steps, wave at the caravan, take a couple steps, wave at the caravan. And eventually, over the course of, probably about an hour, you can get all your animals, all your people and wagons through, and everybody else can come. And eventually Ensign will return as well, with a sack full of mushrooms as well.
Nice.
And you all make it through without breaking anything.
Sweet.
Okay. So eventually you guys reach what looks like a crested, like this sort of high ridge line. And it's effectively, nighttime probably when you arrive, and you've been traveling for roughly 2 hours, or for roughly 2 weeks, excuse me, over the course of, since you've left the Violet City, and probably about a week of time since you left the traveling merchants. When you finally arrive at what it's not so much a settlement that you're at, but you can see it almost looks like a crossroads of sorts. Handful of people are kind of making this like into like a campsite, kind of a temporary setting, and you can see that there's a variety of different directions you can go. It's just like a high point that just looks over a significant portion in every direction: north, south, east, and west. And so effectively, you all have reached the step of the line nomad. So on our map, let me go ahead and move us a little bit. So you guys have actually finished your first travel time. And so what we're going to do, so when you arrive at a new destination, like there's a couple things. The first thing you do is you get a free explore action by a random player. So we're gonna say Bert's not here. So
Aw.
Melissa, go ahead and roll a charisma test. We'll see if you can. This is just so like the idea is like the explore actions, like you get different discoveries around the area. I won't be as
Oh my
mechanical.
goodness.
Of course you.
Natty
that high.
20 for a 22.
Yeah. Okay. There's enough. No, it's great. That makes this super easy. This is great. So like again, this is not a settlement. This is really just a crossroads, more of where there's a lot of like temporary camps here and there, different travelers that you're encountering, some coming from the west, some coming from the east, some from the south, some from the north. And so there's a lot of, conversation that you can potentially happen, rumors. You also have a few little like rumors and bits and pieces that that MSG and Tango Carne got here and there. But you learn of a couple nearby locations that are of somewhat significance to the Limey Nomads. You hear of a fairly holy place to the Lime Clan called the Spring of the Yellow Water. You hear that there is kind of similarly a revered location for the Green Tangerine Clan. Called the Great Biomechanical Baobab, and it's apparently just like a very big and beautiful tree of some kind. And then when you mention to somebody like the bits that Tango and MSG got about some kind of crater, mossy crater, someone referenced like, they referenced this canyon off to the north that is it's like this eroded canyon that has these old kind of ancient remains of some kind of like old tech, Vomish tech maybe. And the canyon itself, this like cryptic area is in itself kind of interesting, and there's something buried there. So the cryptic is one, and if rumor has it, if you go through the canyon till its very, very end, you'll find that mossy sea, the mar of the megapede, we'll call it for now, that MSG was curious about. So effectively you have, normally you only get 3 for that, but I gave you 4 just because of the other things. So you're going to have like 4 different discoveries, all in sort of different areas. So,
All right.
So basically what this means is I'm going to move some of these little flags on our map over, and you can see that there's quite a few in the area. Paul, as part of your as part of you've heard, that like the ones that are furthest, the ones that are closest are the Baobab and the Spring of the Yellow Water, then the canyon where the crypt is, and then the crater is the furthest away. So in order of like, they're all kind of scattered about in different directions.
Liam will definitely update MSG. That we have a general direction. North and through is where we get to that mar of the megapede.
My word, Liam, you're just an absolute saint, just a savant. I can't believe how wonderfully you've performed here. It's just amazing.
And you thought you had to bring like extra mouths for us to feed to get this kind of information, and here we are, just already in the group.
Just amazing.
I imagine you're still like being cradled by crackers.
Oh yeah.
Really, really nice job, but try not to speak too loudly. His ears are very delicate. Very delicate.
I'll give him an extra nuzzle for that. That was very sweet.
Oh, look at him. Look at him. I think that means he's tired.
You're fine. You're fine.
This is gonna be ridiculous. All right, so I've shared with you all like a little list of like destination actions. This is like our first real arrival at a destination. So basically, when you go to a destination, there's things you can do, and depending on the type of destination, whether it's a settlement, which this isn't, settlement is more like the Violet City or the Porcelain Citadel. Those are like proper cities. But destinations allow you to do certain things. You can do the buy and sell action, like what Joe did at the merchant thing that we just sort of like hacked. But you can do it for real here, which is trying to sell some of your vampire wines, for instance. This would be the time to do it because it's like an actual trade good that you have. You could try to do it, see if you can find decent prices. You could also take the explore action to find more discoveries, and I'll tell you, it's not really necessary, as like she crushed it with an at 20. Like there's really no need to do that. You can do market research, which lets you try to figure out prices in various destinations, like of the goods that you have. If we were in a city, you could carouse. You can't really do that here because we're not a city, but you can also do camp actions. And so those could be things like foraging, like you mentioned, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Before, you could do something like care, where you're taking care of somebody. So like a long rest, like where you could either like restore your fatigue track, gain some life back, or like restore a stat point. You could potentially like kind of do stuff like this. So that's sort of the destination actions that you could potentially do. So it's up to you guys exactly, who wants to do what while you're here.
I suppose I'm more than happy to do a bit of foraging, help supplement our food supplies, and would you be too opposed to letting our good man Manmeat, imbibe a bit of the shrooms that you found there, kind of see the effects?
Sure.
It's mainly food. Like I was just going to treat them as foods. Yeah. As opposed to drug. It's like, so it would satisfy your supplies for a week essentially. Okay. So if you're looking to do, some foraging, you can roll. Melissa and I were looking at this before and we were kind of confused by the GM screen a little bit, but basically roll a D20. And this is just, you're trying to gain some supplies, like relative to how many mouths we have.
I'll probably be foraging too, but also kind of like, looking for that vile hiding place.
Okay. What did you roll, Jeremy?
What do you want me to use? Thought, and is that probably the appropriate?
You have the forge skill, right?
I do. I've got the forge skill, and then I wasn't sure which stat to apply with it.
Yeah, thought's fine. Yeah, thought
okay,
plus
cool.
your bonus for foraging.
All right, so D20 plus 3. Sorry.
Oh God. Oh God, that's pretty terrible.
I think I'll re-roll that.
Okay, so your bonus heroic to reroll.
I will. Oh God. Yeah, let's not bring back poison to the camp. Well, it's not great, but it's a lot better than
Now
killing
you can
people.
So basically the destination action is kind of like what you're doing for the week. So like this is like the week while you're hanging out in the settlement. So even though we did it really fast, like Lamb's, like exploration, for instance, is like that's from a week of like talking with travelers, and yours is sort of the same deal. You can try to forage harder, but that's gonna make you lose extra time. So like the more time every week you have to be eating supplies and things like that, and so you could potentially get more. Like it's sort of like pushing a little bit if you want, but it would just add time to your track essentially.
No, that's okay. I don't want to add time to what's going on.
So you basically get enough for like half the. You basically get about half a week's worth of supplies for your crew. So I think was it 12 we had, Melissa, or was it 10?
We had 10, but then we picked up crackers. So
that's true. Okay, so we'll say 6.
We'd get 5. Okay, 6.
Yeah, take 6. Round up. It's fine with me. Okay.
Gotta send crackers into danger at some point in the near future.
Okay.
Take care of that extra mouth.
Yeah.
Does
if we find the Megapede, he's the first one going in.
So he has a story to bring back, right?
You're gonna orphan his kids.
I am.
Oh,
I'm gonna make some orphans.
And then Bert's gonna go back and smash them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know some people suffered some stat damage at a certain point. I think. Didn't I think Ensen might have taken some? I know Khalil did a while
Bird
back when
had.
he twisted his ankle. Yeah,
think
I
that
thought
was
Ensen
it.
lost some
think-
agility.
I was already at 0 though, so I didn't know what
Oh,
that
okay.
did if I was.
You took a
I know I
fatigue.
took it.
Yeah, that made you grumpy.
You
because
took-
you would
Oh.
have gone
you took
into
a
negative.
fatigue.
Right, that's right.
Right.
Yep, I have that marked.
Now, you guys didn't do any sort of fighting or anything this week. So, like, basically, as long as you weren't doing like fighting or anything, like, which you guys aren't, like, you can essentially rest, and you can choose like one of 3 things. You can restore your life. You can like clean your fatigue track, or you can restore a stat point. If you need more like stat point healing, then someone as their destination action could take like the care action, and that might heal you additional thing. That's something else. Like, you're taking care of them over the course of a
Okay.
week. That's kind of where we're at.
Cool.
And the other thing,
Yeah,
and
I'll
it's
clear that.
the other thing you guys could potentially do is to like you could study. So this could be something like probing ancient artifacts, scrolls, or items to figure out how they work. Try to learn a new spell or a skill, which takes time and takes multiple successes at like different places. So those are other things you could potentially do. So if there's like a kind of a skill that you want, like hypothetically speaking, let's say like one of you wanted to learn like some kind of tracking skill, you could spend the time here like amongst one of the other travelers, or maybe there's a Lyme nomad around here that could potentially train you for a week, and then you can get one of the ticks towards learning your new skill. That's something else you could do as you're during the week at a destination action. Does that make sense?
For sure would want to be working on learning new spells.
Okay. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, you'll just because I want to test out some of these skills so we get them under our belts moving forward. So we'll say you do that. You'll do the study thing. And you're just looking for somebody who could potentially help you with your casting. See if there's a wizard in the area of some kind.
Yeah.
Wizard is the all-purpose term for anybody who does anything that could be magic or like super tech. Okay,
Okay.
good deal. And then but you have to roll a skill test. I'm just checking. At the end of the week, of a study, you make a moderate thought test, and so you basically have to roll roll thought right now.
So is it thought because that's the casting attribute?
I think it's because it's learning, because you're trying to learn something.
Okay.
You're like committing it to memory.
Okay. Because I have the body magico, which makes my casting.
Which is-
Maybe he has
strength.
muscle memory.
Oh God
Yeah.
damn it!
Oh,
Yeah, do it. Yeah, yes. That's yes,
When you put it that way.
exactly.
Great one.
Okay, so go ahead and roll that.
All right.
If you roll a natural one, though, you're
Oh
screwed.
my goodness.
Oh my
Natural
gosh.
20. Oh my gosh.
wow.
It's 25.
Muscle memory. There it is.
Okay, muscle memory.
Learned
Yeah.
the shit out of that spell.
Okay, so you have one tick towards your new spell, whatever it might be. So you're getting some training around here for
His
that specific
bicep
spell.
grows another bicep.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right. So then, who hasn't done stuff? So MSG did foraging. Lamb did like explore stuff. Though I do think you actually get something else you can do, because that was just a free. You get your own. And so Ensign, you've done something too. So, Chuck, do you have an idea of what you want to do?
No, not really. He's kind of a slacker. Doesn't have skills for that. I mean, the discovery was fantastic. You know,
She got
maybe
really lucky.
Yeah, that was great.
Tango, do you want to help out Lamb this week?
What you could.
What are you doing?
First, I'm just going to ask if you want to help and then see if you'll agree.
You know, okay. Sure.
Okay. So Lamb sort of does like sleight of hand ish stuff, and she's got some daggers. So she wants to practice the like carny dagger throwing, and so she needs somebody
Oh.
to,
Oh, I
apple
am
on the head
about this.
kinda
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Give me a
Okay.
reason to get a new meat suit. I mean, don't worry about that. Let's do this.
So you you certainly can find any number of people in the area coming and going who have skills with throwing weapons and archery and all that kind of stuff. So you could probably easily find somebody who's willing to give you a little bit of tutelage. And since you have Tango helping you as like a target practice, putting apples on top of the heads of meat suit of man suit or meat suit. I'm getting.
I call him a
confused now.
meat suit. You got
suit.
man meat with Jeremy and meat suit
Meat
with
suit.
Tango.
So much meat. All right, roll your thought test, and you are rolling a thought. You're not a Musclemancer, so you don't get the muscle memory. Roll a thought test
I've
to
got
see if you. Yeah.
I've got 1 in that.
Okay, go ahead.
That's a 10.
I think it's DC. Hang on. What did I say? Moderate.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did I say it was? You're gonna need an 11. If you burn one of your heroics, you could get
Yeah.
it. So, burn a heroic, roll an extra d6, and you'll be fine. Okay, so you can get a tick towards your towards your throwing bit.
I got
And,
exactly the one that I needed.
Over the course of the week, poor man meat comes back to the caravan at certain points. He's just bleeding, from his face here. He's got nicks on his ears. He has to wear an eye patch for like 2 or 3 days. It's a rough couple of days. That's the practice. But eventually it gets better. Eventually it gets better over the course of the week. Okay.
It was fun, right?
It was good. Like, I get to be a pirate now, and you can throw knives. Super cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Have
that's
you
awesome.
get like the shirts where they're like the flowy shirts?
I could totally wear a ruffly shirt
Yeah.
with the big floofs. Oh, that would be so cool.
Exactly. And like while we're practicing, like Phil was basically the one who would like return the daggers. So like I'd throw the daggers and you'd just like see Phil scamper out, like grab the daggers and put them back.
Oh god.
This was how we spent our week.
Okay.
That's
a fun
an
week.
amazing week.
All right. Jeez. And then Teapot, what did you want to do?
Well, I kind of want to, the guy tipped me off about like the hiding places and stuff here.
Okay. I'll say make an explore action, and if you can get high enough on another explore action, I will give you one final discovery. So go ahead and roll charisma, and if you think you have a skill that applies to you just like looking around the area or talking to people and trying to learn the rumors about the area, anything like that you think would be applicable, you can add your skill bonus to. Otherwise, it's a charisma test.
I picked such bizarre skills.
It's okay. Once we get into like combat and other things, you'll do some stuff. Do you want to burn a heroic to add a
Yeah.
d6 to that or
Let's
re-roll?
go ahead and do it.
Do you have
Exactly
another?
11.
You can keep. I think you can keep burning.
I do.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Dan dice are strong.
All right. You hear. Most of the week it's just been nothing but sort of redundant information for you. But at a certain point, you do meet kind of an old-timey prospector type
Who talks like this and occasionally whistles out of one of his empty teeth. And he tells you that, there's some stories, people talk about when it comes to the Steplanders and how they treat their elderly, how they just kind of run them off into the wild and expose them to the elements just to cut the fat from the herd and whatnot. Well, I'll tell you what, that ain't true for all of them. There's this, there's this place up there beyond the Lavender Cliffs where I hear all sorts of strange spirits. They start crawling from the crevices in these mine-blasted rocks, and they squirrel these old folks away in this little building area, this building city. I know they said they're nomadic types, but I'll tell you, I have it on good authority that there be some kind of village up there in them cliffs, is what I hear. Yeah. But I tell you what, you gotta be careful. You want to head on up there.
Why is
'Cause
that?
them old folks, and you ain't. I don't know. How old are you, fella? I can't really tell with your eyes.
I
Do
mean-
you people get old?
I've been around for a while.
How long's a while?
Long while?
Okay. I get what you're putting down here. Want to keep that one. You don't like really talking about your age. That's fine. That's fine. I'll tell you what, though. There's some old folks that are up in that village. They ain't everything that the eye says they are. You see, they're like meat vessels. I can't believe such people in the world would do this to someone. But
Oh.
these meat vessels, they're carrying these decadent ultra spirits and such that just handed down throughout the years, one to the next, you know. They call them some kind of memory warriors or some such. These ancient ultras, there's some kind of demon creature or something that they fight. I don't know. The damn stories are, well, they're just crazy, you know. It's nonsense, really, is what it is. But if you're curious, up there in them Lavender Cliffs, there's some kind of village, some kind of ghost clan, that kind of thing, where the elderly of the Steplanders and those ghostly folk kind of work in some sort of weird symbiotic coexistence.
How peculiar.
How peculiar indeed. It's a long ways away, though. It's well way up there.
Yeah. We'll have to see about it. Or maybe not.
Well, there you go, long fella. Pleasure talking with you. And I hope them damn ultras don't get you as a meat suit. You got any meat down in that suit? Any meat underneath there? And you
I
see him start to
mean-
lick his lips. Got any meat?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have
I think I'm more scared of you than them at this moment.
scared of me? Well, I'm just a friendly old traveler, just walking through the crossroads. That's all I am, with all sorts of really useful information. That's all.
Maybe a little bit of an appetite.
Maybe. You know, when you're out here in the waste, you don't do the math properly and figure out exactly how many sacks of food you need to get from point A to point B. Sometimes you gotta do things that people in society might find questionable. But I tell you what, nothing questionable about surviving.
Oh, far be it from me to hold that against you.
All right, then. Well, now, you get on your way, then, and I'll catch y'all later.
More worried about that than ever.
Maybe we'll meet up again in the future.
Perhaps.
Okay.
So I think everyone has hit their destination actions. You found a mess load of places that you could potentially go. The question is, so there's now like 5 locations, and in terms of like distance, these are discoveries. You don't have to go to these places, but like they're totally optional. But again, mechanically with the game, like it rewards exploration. So if you go to them and you spend some time, like doing like that touristy once over, which is basically like 24 hours there and everything, you get some XP for that. If you spend a longer period of time like surveying the site, you can gain some additional XP, that kind of stuff. So there's like, it's kind of up to you guys. Like once we got the game under our belt some more, like we won't be as mechanical with it, but the baobab tree is like only a day away. The spring of yellow water is 2 days away. That cryptic is 4 days away. The mossy sea is 5 days away. And if he's talking about the Lavender Cliffs, well, them there are about 6 days away.
Are any of them like on the way to another one, or?
No, it's not really how it works. It's a little abstracted, just in the sense of like, don't worry about in terms of northwest south. It's just more like
Okay.
adding it to your total. Yeah.
Well, we got to go to the Mossy Sea. And we should totally go to those Lavender Cliffs. No reason. It just sounds fun.
No reason.
Do I
Not
need
at
to
all.
like wear like a 10-foot hat up there or something? Does that work?
No, not so much. Nose plugs. That
Nose-
might help.
Oh, okay. Don't know too much about them ultras.
I hear they're
Well,
good people.
I don't got much nose to plug, so.
There's a good chance they might carry some sort of wisdom to help us gather more knowledge about our quest, and between finding some ancient alien technology and then these wise old ones, and who doesn't respect a good meat suit driver?
Exactly. They get a bad rap.
So I think we know the 2 places that we want to go.
Okay.
I think so.
So you want to head out. So you did hear, though, that the Mossy Sea, like you literally go to the cryptic and then you go through a canyon. Like the canyon itself, there's apparently a crypt in there of something. But if you pass all the way through the canyon, you can actually make it, if you spend a day just pouring through the canyon. So you could conceivably not quite do like, you can kind of hit both sort of in the same general area, if you know what I mean.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Go do some stealing and then go kill a centipede.
Excavating,
Okay. Yeah.
exploring,
Archaeologist shit.
archaeologist. Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, I
So-
should take a skill rank in antiquarian.
Go.
Library. Okay. So you start heading out in the direction that the various locals and people that you've encountered have pointed you towards a place called the Cryptic of some sort of there's a crypt of some sort of creature inside. And eventually you after a few days travel from like these crossroads area, you eventually find what basically just looks like this jagged gash of like this eroded canyon system. And as you're passing through it, it's got those like kind of the reddish like dustiness from the cinnabar ash and stuff that you can still see is out here to some degree, but the further north that you head, the more and more you're not getting hit with as heavy storms. But you do find that all throughout the canyon, there's these various like small, almost like little offering sections, like where it seems like things have been sort of stacked up in a way that suggests some sort of like reverence or some sort of offering, like little, not so much an altar, but like just something where someone has collected various debris or almost looks like trash in certain areas along the way. These like stumps of to the layman just sort of looks like some kind of debris. You also notice like periodically, like in the walls of the canyon as you're traveling through it, you can see different openings here and there on the walls themselves where it looks like there's like circular, it's not natural cave, but rather some kind of almost like concrete or cemented openings here and there, like ventilation systems that have been exhausting something out into the air, and they kind of pop up from time to time. You'd find several just sort of like, this is again just as you're kind of passing through. Now if you want to basically get the, like, again, we're doing this mechanically first. if you want, so you basically have to spend a day here to sort of get the touristy XP for it. That's just sort of like kind of looking around, and in the course of just sort of looking around, something could potentially happen. We never know. Or you do see that the canyon snakes and goes deeper to the north that could potentially lead to the sea. So it's just a question of, do you guys want to look around in greater depth here, spend the night here effectively, or do you want to push forward and go deeper into the canyon?
We're here. Might as well.
I mean, there are some areas that are deeper, and it just so happens I happen to be well suited to spelunking.
We do have kits for such things. Spelunking we will go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds fun.
All right. So you guys basically set up the caravan in the canyon somewhere, and you're effectively kind of hanging out and looking around a bit, exploring some of these ventilation shafts, seeing if they lead anywhere, peeking around at some of these offerings that have been laid at certain places around the canyon. If anybody would like to roll a thought test of some kind to kind of identify some of the offerings that you see, you're welcome to do that. So anybody who might have like a tech related skill of some kind, you're welcome to do that.
Who knows tech stuff?
Not me.
I know how to untech stuff.
I have a thought bonus. That's it.
I have 0.
Same.
Okay. We'll just
Smart.
okay, you guys are very dumb people.
I mean, no, just different.
I also have a thought, just not lots of thought about tech things.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You're not gonna worry about it. If you don't want to roll it, if no one feels comfortable rolling it, then don't. It's all good.
I'll roll it. I've got no bonus.
Go for it. Tango.
We've got
That's you.
heroics to spend.
Yeah.
Whoa! Is that the third or fourth tonight?
Yeah.
It's at least the third, if not the fourth.
Wild.
Well then. All right then. Another natural 20. All right. So you take a close look at some of these offerings, and you can tell you're pretty confident that these are like these. There's two things that you're finding most commonly. First of all, you think like it's some kind of like sort of mixture of like ceramics and metal, so like a ceram metal, and like this like the actual material. The second thing you would probably sort of decipher is that you get the feeling, based upon your extensive experience, Tango, that these offerings are of the Vomish variety. So Voms, violent mechanisms like violent machines, robots, that kind of stuff. So they're somehow part of that kind of culture, like the Vomish culture, such that it is. You also, as you're looking around and piecing some things together, you start to triangulate based upon where these offerings are, and you're able to pinpoint what looks like an entry point that goes deeper underground. You find what looks like, in that same kind of ceremetal, a stairwell that's hidden behind some sort of exterior wall, and it seems to kind of go down into an underground area if you wanted to explore further. You also notice as you're moving around that since you all have made camp in the area, right, that you've set up and stopped, you've noticed that several birds have begun to take up perch along the walls of this canyon, looking down.
Well, I'll share all that information. Like, yeah, man, this is all like Vohm stuff, but
Actually,
there's the
have,
door.
Actually have Foam Tech as a skill here. That would be
Well,
would
Vohm
be
tech that door
perfect.
open, and let's go for a spelunking. Just
Okay.
Come back to
Crawl
our,
right
our
on.
probably dead caravan.
yeah, but don't I did notice there's a bunch of birds, so I'm pretty sure once the sun sets, something's going to come out and murder all of us. So it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry,
So,
you're filled with divine purpose here. Everything's gonna be fine.
I'm going to be fine. Just,
If you
maybe
need an
not
extra
all I want.
hand, just ask Crackers.
Oh, let's send Crackers down first.
Can I take the sweet kitty with me?
Of
No.
course, I'll be right with you. But of
Oh,
course,
yes.
you are the hero of the steps. You first. I'm here to observe your magnificent story.
How can you observe me if you don't come with me?
Oh, I will. I'm rubbing right behind you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that seems fun. That seems fun. Okay. All right. Down I go. Oh, hey, lantern, torch, something like that.
We've got plenty
Okay.
of lamps.
Yeah, we'll get them decked out with the spelunking stuff.
Okay, here we go. Oh man, you're gonna be so proud of me. You
I am.
cute little
In
devil.
fact, and I'll actually like try to blow his mind as I like stretch my body out to turn into the anthropomorphic version.
Oh my God, you're a creature of just immense power and magnificence.
I told you not to worry, didn't I, Crackers?
You're totally right. There's nothing to worry about at all. I'm going down. Everything's gonna be just fine.
I've never
Your
felt
fate
more
shall be
confident.
rewarded.
Uh,
Can't wait. He
Do you
turns
think-
around. Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, no, kind of say this not to Crackers so much. You think I should follow him down? Just, that way when he dies, we'll know what not to do next.
Might be a wise decision.
I mean,
Cool.
I probably am going to follow as well. I can't help it. I want to see what's going to happen. But,
Okay. I would like to not ruin my suit though, so I need a little help. It's going to seem strange, but just go with me, everyone. I need you all to tie me up and gag me.
Sorry?
Yeah. I need you all to tie me up and gag me and keep me from getting away.
Uh-huh.
Gee.
All right. That's strange.
Yeah.
Gladly. So
Okay.
I'm sure she's got some.
We've already established that we don't kink shame in this group.
Yeah. Don't. Although, okay. And then once I'm bound up and gagged, I'll come out. Presuming that my meat suit wasn't a volunteer.
I mean, you're playing them
don't-
like they're not, so I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
So
I
when you
don't
come
want
out-
him to.
Like, we'll say there's probably like a hangover period, maybe, where they just kind of like they're out for a bit. So you have like a window that if they come back to consciousness before you get back into their body, then they'll probably make a stink. But you probably have a little bit of a window to do something.
Yeah,
Wait, what does this look like? Because we don't know this about you.
it's just a big blue lumpy looking cloud crawls out of his nose
Oh.
and then just starts floating there, just like a big snot bubble that just doesn't stop for a bit. I'd like to think I'm about the size I don't know, maybe a head, couple eyes, some cool sunglasses.
Everything makes more sense now, I guess.
Well, I guess if we ever going to go to that one token, it's just one big eyeball.
And
Looks
so-
really slimy, but isn't.
So Lamb is like less shocked, but more offended of like, why weren't we told about this before? And how did you get past the guards?
Oh, MSG, he mind controlled Cracker to not scan me.
Is that why we have this extra mouse to feed?
Yeah,
Trying to get you through
he's
security.
he's a He's our pet now.
Oh.
Well, I mean, good to know. These are kind of things you might want to share when you go out in
Well,
a group, just so you know what the dangers
I didn't
are.
want to spook y'all at first. I had to make sure you were cool, you know.
I mean, you met Phil, and I don't generally like bring him out all the time.
Well, now you know. I'm sorry it wasn't earlier.
I need
Okay.
Usually people aren't so cool.
Well, if we're all going to the same
Nope.
destination, you know, if
Yeah.
we're called. And so who is it for us to judge who's been called with us?
Yeah.
Looks like you can only take over weaklings anyway, so I'm not worried about it.
You might be right. I haven't tried a big muscly dude, but that's not really my style. Like I like to get meat suits that wear the same size clothing. That way I can just gather all my stuff from the previous one before I move on to the next one.
Okay.
Just leave them naked in the desert.
Well, now we know. On with the
On with-
Knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
Haha.
Aha.
Also, if you're all staying up here, keep an eye on my plant. That's
Done.
my home. Yeah, and I'll follow Cracker in.
Okay. So you keep, I'm assuming, a distance from Cracker, and you watch as he descends. He's like,
Hey, Miss J's gonna be so proud of me. It's gonna be wonderful.
"Oh gold! Oh gold!" And then you look Tango as he's descending the staircase. He turns to the right, and there's this just massive golem made of metal and stone that's just like, just like slowly and like jerkily like reaching down at him, and he's like freaking but it's like really really slowly. So like once the initial shock like kind of goes away, like okay, and he just sort of like ducks underneath this like really slow moving arm, and then like oh god, and then another one just kind of pulls out from the left, and again moving really slow as it's walking. It's like crumbling to bits, like it's like reacting. And he's like, oh god, these things are in terrible condition. And it's just constantly like weaving between like 3 or 4 of these different ancient golems that are trying to maneuver, but clearly have not been maintained for some long period of time. And he just shouts back like,
Okay, I'm through the first bit. Just look out for the big angry golems. They're moving really slow, so you just be fine. Just duck underneath them and things like that. They don't look too scary.
Crackers, they're gonna make songs about you.
Are they really? Oh, wonderful.
Of course.
Wonderful. You think maybe the singer-songwriter will be Cat Stevens? No? Okay.
and then
Oh,
he's
yes.
squashed by a gun. He's not. He's not.
Because he stops to try.
He's like,
Cat Stevens. I really enjoy him. He's very easy listening, apparently.
And but yeah, like so Tango, as you follow, yeah, you see these incredibly slow moving. You're not even sure if they're being aggressive, but they're like moving towards him, and he's just like very easily and without any difficulty dodging them. And because you can't physically really be harmed by these, like I'm not going to require you to roll anything yet, as you easily float through. Is anybody else going down?
I mean, curiosity is going to kill me. I have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I'll
okay.
go down.
Well, I'll get
Okay.
piled in there, I imagine.
Okay. Anybody who goes down, just roll an agility test, just to make sure. This is a moderate agility test. Is you need an 11 to just avoid like bumping into one of these slow moving behemoths.
You want one from me?
No, you're
these-
fine because physically they can't do anything to you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend a hero point.
Go for it.
Are these Vomitech? Or-
You look at them and they
I'm gonna
do.
spend a hero point.
Well, you can spend a hero point to add a d6.
Yeah, you can spend
I
it
thought
to
you-
you can spend it to add, or you can
So-
spend it to roll with advantage.
Okay,
Meaning
that's
roll
what I was
twice.
doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay, so there's so I think everyone passed once the rerolls came in. Is that correct? Dan, you're good. Teapot makes it down. So
Yep.
one by one, everyone descends, following first the brave Crackers, and then following the not quite as brave Tango Carney, but probably more than you guys. And then down you guys go, and you guys see these really large and honestly kind of terrifying looking security golems that are moving around. They have these flickering red lights in their like the heads area that are built into some sort of lenses that are barely giving off light. It looks like they haven't been charged in quite some time. You hear like the most just painful to the ears, like screeching and creaking whenever the metal of the joints starts to move, and they kind of turn and change directions in a really kind of slow moving through molasses kind of positioning. They sweep down their arms very slowly at each one of you, but just like he says, you're very easily able to just duck underneath without any real problems. Ensen, because you're kind of a big guy, it's a little bit like every now and then you kind of accidentally bump into one, but before they're able to kind of close their big old stony fists and metal fists around you, you're able to kind of dodge out of the way. But eventually you all kind of make it past this sort of foyer, like grandiose entry point. And you can see that there's Crackers.
Okay, going down to the next level. Gonna say what's going on. Oh, God! Whoa!
Dum, 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 dum. You just hear like all sorts of falling as he seems to have like stumbled. And then moments later, he's like, ow! Ow! Coming from below.
I'll go take a peek and see how bad he is.
Or crack.
Has he seen you yet?
No, I've been hiding from him.
Yeah. Tango, you float down, and you can see that he seems to have triggered some kind of pit trap, like at the bottom of these stairs. And there are these like old rusty spikes coming up from the ground, and one of them is just like ripped clear through his thigh. And he's just like, ah! And he's deep down in about a 10-foot deep pit with a spike having impaled through his right thigh.
Oh no.
Great. I'll go back to the group. Well, Cracker's dead.
But I can still hear him.
Well, he just doesn't know it yet.
Kitty cat!
No.
Also, there's a spike trap down there. Don't find it like Crackers did.
Okay.
I will, when we get down there, I'll do the whole stretchy arm gimmick to give him a hand.
Yeah, maybe we could use him for one more trap.
I mean, you can still limp on one leg.
It's all right then. I mean, Crackers, just your tenacity, your endurance just inspires me.
Thank you. Ow! It hurts really bad.
Roll a strength test and use your skill to see if you can pull him out of here on your own.
I'll definitely
he's-
help. I mean, is your
Okay.
arm in? Like, could I use it as a rope? Almost. Help pull him up.
Yeah, maybe I could actually like extend my arms around and actually like wrap them around, sort of, and then you use me as the rope.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so we'll say I was gonna make it difficult, but since you're helping, we'll say your help is gonna downgrade the difficulty. I'm still kind of like there's not really an assist mechanic, so I'm just sort of making it up. So we'll say go for a moderate test then. So that'll be the target. So
You're
I'm
just
looking
gonna-
for an 11.
Just gonna oops mon to another spike, probably.
Okay.
If you roll a natural 1, you're gonna get him up halfway, and then just like those bowling alley claw machines, you're gonna accidentally drop him and impale him on the other.
Okay. We can do
That's
this.
what's gonna happen. Okay. It's a little dicey as like you start to pull him off the spike, and he's just like howling, echoing throughout the entire chamber, like ah! Ah! Over and over and over again, just screaming in utter pain. Blood gushing all over the place, coming up the walls here and there, but you do in fact pull him up towards you all. Your
no.
doctor did not come down here with you, Khalil. So would any of you like to try to take a moment to stem the bleeding to maybe save him?
What test would that be?
I would probably say like a thought test with with I don't know anything that like I can be convinced of anything really. Like you can roll what you think. So there's other games I play where it's just like sometimes you do medical tests that are thought based, sometimes they're like agility based if you're doing like surgery. So whatever like you're literally just trying to like stop the bleeding and everything. So whatever you think your character could do to do that, I'm fine with.
Looking what's in a Dungeoneer's kit. And there's
Stem
like,
the noise.
bag of marbles.
Slowly pull a pillow over top of his
Poke a marble
face and
in
just,
the hole. Just grab it.
Like it, yeah.
Okay. Are you doing it, Lamb?
I guess I can since I
Yeah,
said
someone's got to do it. He just got impaled on a big old
Okay.
spike.
it.
So,
So it's a thought test.
yeah, I'll take thought, and if you have a skill like a medical skill, go for it.
I don't. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
No,
I have heroics, so
Okay. Do you want to just re-roll that then, or do you want to add to it?
yeah, I've got 2 heroics, so I'll do 1 for a reroll, and then I'll do
Okay,
another.
go to
one
reroll.
to
I just
add a
want
D6
to
if I need to.
moderate. So give me an 11 is what I want. Perfect. That's enough.
11.
You've stemmed the bleeding. He's not going to walk on this for a while. Khalil's going to have to stitch him up. Like, someone's going to have to care for him because he basically just lost all of his agility points, basically, is the equivalent of what just happened. So, like, he's going to need some attending to. But you've managed to stem the bleeding enough where you think as long as he gets medical attention by Khalil sometime soon, he'll probably be fine. Over time.
All right.
Sure.
So Crackers, you stay here.
Okay. Oh,
And he looks over to the kitty cat.
do you want me to stay here? I can push forward if you want.
And he just starts to crawl along the floor. Like, oh.
Oh,
I mean, how can you
Oh.
argue with that moxie? Look at this
I was gonna say,
spirit.
I mean,
that's a lot of fun.
it's gonna take us forever to get down this hallway, though.
Okay, seeing how slow he's moving, my cruelty is abated.
no,
I just pick him up and like
I've
throw
got
him over
this.
my shoulder.
Oh, I can do this now. It's fun.
Yeah. And you pick him up, throw him over your shoulder, like,
Just a head full.
he says to Ensign.
Oh,
Turns back,
we've got this.
gives you a bloody thumbs up. So you travel down, and Ensign, why don't you, since you're up front, why don't you go ahead then, and you're gonna roll a test. Why don't you roll? Let's do like maybe an aura test. Just sort of like it's more like instinctive, like looking. You're aware that there could be traps, that other security devices. So this is aura is kind of
Well,
like wisdom,
okay.
willpower. So your ability to just sort of
Situation
can,
should have been addressed.
yeah.
Mhm.
So anything that
Sure.
might be for perception or scouting, any kind of skill like that, I'll take. Okay. All right.
Yeah, 7.
Okay. Cool. So you guys are hanging back, I'm assuming, while Ensign and Crackers is like,
Onward. We've got this. Okay, just be very careful. You never know.
and then from the sides of the walls, you see like this red beam just cut right across the room. Ensign, go ahead and roll an agility test to avoid this.
All right. Is it coming from like one direction in particular?
It's like coming from the
or
sides.
is
It's
it
like
both?
it's like a yeah. It's coming. It's like crossing in the middle, like these sides,
Okay.
like some kind of laser beam across the middle. You're gonna need an 11 at least. It's gonna be a moderate test. So, do you have any heroics left?
We do for the party.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, I'll throw a d6 on that.
Okay, that's fine. And so it doesn't matter what you roll. You're good. Okay. Now, you manage to quickly dive and tumble underneath it and roll forward, and somehow Somehow, so does Crackers. He's like, "Ah, go duck and tumble," and he rolls under, and he keeps rolling, and the whole time he's like, "Ah, oh, ah, oh," as he continues to roll and roll, and then as he rolls for like a good 15 or 20 feet, you suddenly hear a thump. Ow! I found something. Oh. And Ensen, you look up and you can see that like he has like come smack dab into what looks like some kind of glassy wall, partially reflective of like probably the lantern that you're now carrying that he had. There's smudges of red blood on it.
Crackers red blood or someone else's?
It's definitely Crackers.
Mhm. I'll pick him back up and put him on my shoulder. Is this like blocking the path?
Oh yeah,
This,
blocking
like,
the path
glass?
forward. Yeah, and it's some kind of glass. It's like semi-transparent. You can see various like lights and stuff flickering on the inside. Some kind of looks like some kind of depression in the middle with some kind of strange device. You think at the center, and maybe something hanging down from the ceiling above it. Some kind of old tech, maybe. You're not sure exactly without getting closer and getting more light on it.
Okay.
I know you're all thinking what I'm thinking. We need to stick Crackers in that.
What do you mean by a depression? Like a keypad depression in the glass, or like
No, like a very big like ditch in the middle of the room. That's what I mean, like a depression in the
Through the
ground.
glass.
And there's some sort of machinery in it, and then there's like something hanging from above. Again, it just looks like old tech. Without getting closer, it's harder to discern exactly what it is.
Okay, is the
It's
glass
probably
blocking me from getting into there?
Yeah, and it's probably about
Okay.
25 or 30 feet beyond the glass, and like it looks like an octagonal kind of room, and you're at one of the sides of the octagon, and it's all glass.
Okay.
Does it seem like it can be?
Does Cracker have like any loose piece of clothing, like a scarf or something on him,
You could, sure, yeah, we'll say.
like a sock?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah,
want to grab that off of him and smear his blood along the glass to see if there's any like.
What are you doing? My foot's cold now. It's very cold in here. I think I've lost a
Hold
lot
on.
of blood.
You're fine.
Nothing seems to affect
People have way more blood than that. You got plenty left.
You look down, he's so pale right now. He's so pale. But yeah, you smother the blood across the glass, and it doesn't seem to have
Just
an effect.
looking to see. Okay.
No.
I'm trying to find if there's like any cracks or like there might be like a door or something.
When
like
you put pressure against it, you do see like little points of light begin to kind of emerge in the glass underneath where your palm kind of pressed against it, as if it's sending little bits of light through like circuitry through the glass.
Okay. I want to make my reverse engineering test.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing, by the way? Are you going up to join him?
I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious. I mean, does this, once again, I'll
Okay.
just throw it out there. Does any of this seem Vomish?
Yeah, I mean, you would think between what Tango found on the surface and what you've been then, like, yeah, this all seems kind of like Vomish. Like there's Vomish technology. It's definitely biomechanical of origin. All of you go ahead and roll an agility test. Again, Tango, you actually need to roll this one because this is like energy stuff that's like spewing out. But all of you can do it at advantage because you saw where it came from, and so you can kind of time it as you try to pass. And all you need is a DC 11 to hit. Yeah. Looks like.
So
Number 5.
Oh my god, another crit? This is ridiculous. Okay. So yeah, one by one, you all manage to time it. It's kind of like the never-ending story when the beams come out. You know the timing of it, and you manage to like duck and tumble and run, and you get past it. No one's injured, whatsoever. But all of you come up, and you can see the smear of blood. You can see the very, very pale and blood deplenished Crackers, and you can see that Ensen is trying to figure out some way for it to open it up. Go ahead and roll if you want your reverse engineer. And Teapot, is there something you would want to do coming up here?
Since I have foam tech, I might, maybe know how to use the door or whatever this is.
Okay. Yeah. Roll Vom Tech with like thought, probably.
Okay.
I'll let you do that first.
You guys can
and
both
what-
roll it. It's fine. You might get similar
Well,
things, might get
so-
different things.
Reverse engineer is I'm using
break it.
strength to brute force through technology.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let him do it then first.
Jeez.
Okay.
We've got one more heroic if you want to add a d6.
And we're almost at the end here. If you want to burn it,
Okay. Sure.
we're
why
a few
not?
minutes over. We'll be done very soon. Okay, that'll be enough.
All right.
You start. Once Ensign points out, like putting pressure against the glass causes the little lights. You manage to start drawing various shapes into the glass and kind of tracking until you see what actually looks like a UI begin to emerge, and you start going through the various shapes, the various kind of buttons and things that are now popping up. And as you're fiddling with it, at a certain point, you just kind of get lucky and you hear a tss, and a seam that you had heretofore not seen in the middle of the glass. It was so perfect. Parts as the glass peels back, and all of you get this like very stale metal scent that just wafts up in your direction. And once the door opens, you can see more lights begin to come on around the octagon area.
Neat.
So it looks like a table in the middle of the room.
No, it's like a ditch, and there's some sort of machinery like depressed into the ditch, and then there's another piece of machinery hanging above it from the ceiling. The ceiling's maybe about 15 feet tall, and there's all sorts of cables and wires that are hanging around. It looks very complicated. Looks like there's a bunch of like metal tiling and grating that kind of leads in the direction there. Crackers looks up at MSG and he's like,
I've come this far. I can go take a gander if you wish.
Of course, again, you led us here. You deserve the first sight of this promised land.
You're so considerate. You're so sweet. I definitely made the right choice in abandoning my children and family to come with you on this grandiose adventure.
and then you see him start. You see him start to crawl inside. He gets about halfway there, and you see this field of like diffuse red light just pulse and erupt from the center. And as it does,
Oh no.
you watch in horror as poor Crackers is liquefied in front of you. And all that remains is the physical bones of him
Oh no.
and this huge puddle of discolored, liquefied skin and tissue. And that's,
It's horrible. I can't believe that happened to you.
and that is where we're going to end tonight, I think.
Oh my gosh. Poor Cracker.
Oh,
At
poor
least
Crackers.
At least it wasn't one of us.
Yeah. Now we're gonna need to get a new Crackers. I now say that
Oh,
every single person that we, sucker into joining us like this, we rename them Crackers and
Yes.
number.
See, I told
It's
you
like an
there's way more
honorary
blood in him.
title.
pour one out for Crackers.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep going, Crackers.
You've got this. You did a great job, Crackers.
He's still got his skeleton. You guys could get a necromancer to turn him into a skeletal worker for you if you pile up the bones. There's always
Bad
that.
idea.
Oh my god.
Maybe now that I saw how it works, maybe I can understand it.
So
Or get liquefied. That's fun too.
he rolled a save. I rolled a check. I rolled a 5 on the check, so I knew he was screwed. I was so glad he did. I'm so glad he failed this. Okay. Oh, that was delightful. Jeremy, you're a very good person. Very good person. That cat is evil as fuck, but you're a very good person. Oh goodness. All right. Let's shut it down. Let's do some closing plugs before we get out of here. Chuck, what's going on with the Defenders this week?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. If you go over to the Defenders on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Central, we're playing some Pathfinder 2, our weekly game, Fallen Kingdom of Ruse. We're checking out a barn. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Friday, we've got some more Pathfinder, Saviors of Ruse, but that's at 10 p.m. Central. And then this Saturday at twitch.tv/Goodman Games Official, we're continuing on the Crypt of the Devil Lich, 15th level, 5th ed D&D. So
Beautiful.
that's fun.
Jeremy, you got anything?
Not in particular. No.
Nope.
Just
Okay. Just go get a cat.
Yeah.
Everyone go. Yeah. I think we might have to change that, Captain Karayat. I'm not sure if JB is a good person. That's the correct thing anymore. We'll see. As for us here, come back. Friday, we're doing something. We haven't decided what we're doing yet, but you can come check us out on Friday, normal time. Saturday, we're going to be starting up our brand new Blades of the Dark game. So, yeah, come check that out. We're playing drug-dealing witches, so should be fun. And then next Monday, we'll be back for Alien. And we'll be back with UVG in 2 weeks. So we do it every other week. We alternate between UVG and Alien. So next week is going to be an Alien week. But that's about it. We're going to go ahead and raid one of our friends. Looks like Diesel Shot is still playing some Dungeons and Dragons. So hang out with us, follow the raid, and watch some more cool ttrpg stuff. And thank you for the bits. Thank you for the follows. Gore Big, thank you for the follow. I see you just did that tonight. We appreciate that, and we'll catch you next time. So good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Everybody.